Take me to the ocean beach. I want to melt under the sun under your gaze. I don't.
What's up, everybody? It's Goddess Z, and I'm here with another podcast episode of Holistic and Spiritual AF. I hope everybody has been taking care of themselves, mind, body, and spirit, because if either one of those things is out of balance, then we are out of balance, and we want to be aligned. We want our frequencies vibrating high, and that's all about what we talk about here on this podcast episode. And this episode is no different. You guys got to stick around to the end of this because this is a true treat. So if this is the first time you're landing on this podcast episode and you're into the whole mind, body, spirit integration, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow on the respective platforms. This podcast airs the first and the third Friday of every month at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Substack, pretty much anywhere that you get your podcast. So be sure to go ahead and follow me. And if you are coming back, welcome, 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 fam. I appreciate you guys so much. This podcast is growing. The guests are growing. The everything is just getting so much better with this. The stats, the analytics, and everything are showing that you guys are really enjoying these podcast episodes, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, so let's see. Before I get started, I got to go ahead and get some business out of the way. If you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can follow me all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF. That's and spelled out. I'm all over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Medium, Substack, like everywhere now. And holisticandspiritualaf.com is just about finished. So be sure to check the description because I'll have my information down there as well as today's guest. Today's guest is coming and dropping gems, y'all. It was truly an honor to have her on the show. Today's guest is Cassandra Juniphant, and she is the author of The Body Ministry and also the founder of Ori Ara. Okay, Cassandra's journey is as inspiring as it is transformational. She's a wife, mother, and former HR executive. She began her path to healing over a decade ago when she turned to bodybuilding to reclaim her health. That path led her to discover the deep, often overlooked connection between wellness, professional success, and spiritual alignment. Her evolution includes becoming a certified trainer, yogi, gym owner, and a dedicated student of nutrition and martial arts, all while navigating corporate life. Today, she leads modern women back to traditional wellness through her brand Ori Ara, her blog, The Holistic Hustle, and her groundbreaking book, The Body Ministry, a playbook for your health and fitness journey. She also nurtures a thriving community in the Self Care Collective. In this episode, Cassandra shares how the body ministry became a spiritual movement, inviting us to reimagine the body as sacred, not something to fix or fight, but something to honor. In today's episode, we'll hear about Cassandra's journey from corporate to calling, the body ministry as a lifestyle and sacred ritual, what it means to be a self care alchemist, and how to create rituals that honor your body. Why self care is the foundation for personal success, professional success, as well as manifestation. So, this episode, let me tell you something, we go really deep, and it was eye opening and life changing for me as well. So, be sure to check out this episode all the way to the end, as well as the description, so you find all the many ways that you can find us. And let's get into it.
Take me to the ocean beach. I want to melt under.
All right. So thank you so much, Cassandra. It is really a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show today. You are out there doing some amazing things, helping women, helping the consciousness and collective consciousness be raised. You're doing things with alchemy of self care, the alchemy of food, manifestation. Spirituality of the body. I love it. Lifting, yoga, and meditation, like all things I'm passionate about. So, tell us a little bit about how your journey got started. How did this path begin for you?
Wow. So this path started over 10 years ago. It started in 2012, actually. And my spiritual journey, though, started at the same time or around the same time as my health journey, my fitness journey. And it's like, thank God, too, because the two ended up becoming one, and it's been this beautiful thing. But it started because I struggled to lose the baby weight, like a lot of women. After I had my youngest son, I just couldn't get the baby weight off. And I was actually doing some jumping lunges following an old beach body, like on cassette. I think it was a cassette, to be honest with you. Or maybe it was a DVD. But in any case, I dislocated my knee and I was pissed. And so I Googled ways to stay in shape without hurting my knee. and I stumbled on bodybuilding.com, and
Mm.
I could not believe the women that I was seeing there. Like the women were phenomenal. And so it's like, I've got to do this. I got to figure out how to do this. So my next Google search was to find a coach, and I found one within 10 miles of me. And outside of that, the next closest coach was like over 50 miles away. And so to me, that was a sign. That was clearly like, you're supposed to do this. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just felt called to do it. And so, and the other kind of backstory to that story is that I was a minister's wife for 7 years. The father of my children was a minister. And so I was a first lady in the church, and I left the church. I just could not get on board. I just couldn't get on board. And so naturally my marriage ended shortly thereafter. And
Right.
that was what started my, yeah, right. And so that's what started my spiritual journey. And so again, this is all happening around the same time. And so I remember one day I was in the gym getting ready for a show. It was peak week, which is the week before you hit the stage, and you are intentionally dehydrated. Like that's what we do. You're not eating carbs. I'm really tired. Like it's just one of those hard workouts to get through. And I remember Spirit talking to me loud and clear for the first time in many years and said, "This is what we came for." And I got a download, and I instantly knew that having a body was central. It was the purpose of life. Like, this is the whole reason why we leave non-physical to come into physical, is to enjoy the body. And so the burning in my lungs trying to catch my breath was a gift. It was a beautiful thing. And the ache in my muscles trying to engage and lift was what it asked for. The sweat all over my body felt amazing to my spirit. And it all clicked then. And so I found spirituality again. I found God, I found myself, I found it all again in the
Yeah.
gym, which is, I think, a very I don't know if there is normal or average, but non-average kind of like spiritual awakening. But that's where I had mine, was literally dying in the gym one day. And so I became just obsessed with the body, just obsessed. I ended up becoming a certified personal trainer, a yogi. I studied martial arts, nutrition, yoga. I owned a gym. Um, and I did all of these things alongside my corporate career. I was in human resources. I've been in human resources for over 20 years, mostly at an executive level. And so I was doing all of this stuff alongside my health and fitness. And my career went like this. I was getting the promotions, I was getting the raises, like I was getting the recognition and the acknowledgement. And I'm clear that it's because of how I was able to show up to the world. I'm clear it's because of my health and fitness. Like there's no
Mhm.
question. There's no question in my mind. And
Yeah.
so, like I said, this was like 12 years ago. It started all back in 2012. Um, I've stopped competing since. I competed for 5 years, and I got my pro card in 2016. And I thought, check, I'm done with that
Yeah.
particular chapter of my life. But since then, I've been really called. It's not even like my mission. It's my purpose. Like I'm called from my heart, to share with as many people who will listen to me
Yeah.
about the power and the sanctity of having a body, the reverence and the honor we want to show to our body, the purpose of having a body, how to connect with the body, how to have a relationship with the body, why we have a body, and how to use it in this 3D environment with the other 3D attributes, like food and water and nature and all of the amazing things that we have here at our disposal to connect with this body. So yeah, that's how it all started, losing the baby weight.
Wow. You know what? I love that. That's such a unique story. That's why I always ask that question first, because out of it comes the journey for somebody, and it's always individual and unique. And that is, I think that's the first time I've ever heard that. Like somebody's spiritual journey it started from the reverence of the body. And I always talk about the mind, body, spirit connection because it all is integrated. If any one of those things are off, then we're out of balance somewhere and out of whack. And I love how you talked about basically just treating the body like the temple that it is, that the temple that houses the spirit. So I love that. Everything happens for a purpose, everything happens for a reason. And it sounds like you tapped into yours and your gifts, and they're very unique. I love it. And you're passionate about it. So and then you get to use it on a daily basis. I love that. And then you competed too. So you were
Yeah.
actually like bodybuilder?
Yeah, I was a figure competitor. I was a
Okay.
figure competitor. I was really proud of that. There is some judgment between the bikini girls,
Yeah.
the fitness girls, the figure girls, and then there's the bodybuilder girls. And so there's like different categories. And I was always really proud that I was a real bodybuilder. Like I carried real muscle. I wasn't, and nothing
Yeah.
against the cute little bikini girls because they are working their butts off, right? But
Yeah.
I was, more than just a cute little bikini girl. I was strong, and so
Yeah.
a lot of pride in that. Took a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, you should. That's a huge accomplishment. Like I think that's major. And I did have somebody else that was on here that was a bodybuilder as well. But yeah, I didn't know we were going to get into that, you know? So so that's really exciting. I
It's
loved it. So talk about when you talk about the alchemy of self-care, explain that to me. Kind of go into that with us and let us know what you
yeah.
mean by that.
Yeah, the alchemy. Well, alchemy, first of all, is taking a base, I will call it mundane element, and turning it into something precious and valuable. That's what alchemy is. It's a science. It is a spiritual process, but it is a science as well, right? And so, when you talk about the alchemy of self-care, it's taking our regular, everyday, mundane activities for caring for ourselves and understanding that that gets transmuted into something precious, into something valuable, like our life force, like our energy, like our spirit, like our aura, like our just the ambition that we have, and how we show up to the world. And so it's a really succinct, I think, a succinct way to communicate the value of the regular everyday. We treat self-care, or at least lately, self-care has become this thing that's very exclusive, and it's very luxurious, and it's very it's nice. Like I enjoy the luxury side of life, right? But
Right.
self-care is our birthright, and there's no barriers to entry to true self-care. It's usually inexpensive, if not free. It's highly accessible. And so the alchemy of self-care is a reminder that even if you can't do brunch mimosas every Sunday, you can't get to the spa, you can't do the massage, you can't do all those things. It's fine. That's one version of self-care, but the alchemy of self-care really is pointing us back to the regular everyday activities that we take for granted, even brushing our teeth, and how
Mhm.
spiritual our mouth is, you know. But it's pointing us back to those regular everyday activities and understanding that there's so much power there. And I'm not aware of a lot of people teaching us about our body and how to care for it. And so therefore self-care has been this thing that we've learned from the internet, and it just looks very different than what I think was intended to be.
Oh, I love that. And you're so right about that. And I like how you talked about self-care being wrapped up in what we do in the daytime. It doesn't have to be like going to brunch, going to the spa, getting a massage every day. It could be simple as brushing your teeth. And to me, that taps into mindfulness, that taps into awareness of your body, of yourself. I always talk about that, like, before you can start, as you start to go internal in your internal realm, the first thing you get in touch with is your body. How's your body feeling? Where's their tension? What signals is your body communicating to you? If you can receive that type of communication, you're more inclined to receive communication from intuition
Come
and
on.
you know to
Yes.
telepathy and all of these other things, but it always starts with the body.
Come
So
on.
I love what you're doing, and that's such a powerful ministry because, like you said, there's not a lot of people doing that. And I think sometimes it's important for people who are trying to figure out or just begin in this path to start with something that is attainable and accessible and understandable for them. That's like, okay, my body, I can get that.
And
So
that's
I
the
love it.
live with it every day. And that's
Yeah.
the thing, is that the more infrequent or distant, or we put ritual around things, it's just the harder it is to get to. We live in our body 24/7. And when you understand that we're souls who just so happen to have a body that are having this human experience, and like you said, this is the place that our spirit dwells, it's sacred. And so everything you do in your body 24/7 then becomes sacred. Every meal, every time you rest, every drink of water, every breath. And I love that you brought up the connection to your body, because that's something that is so taken for granted and underrated. It's actually, I have 9 pillars of wellness, which we can talk about later, but it's the fifth pillar is connection to our body. And are you listening to those signals? Are you responding? Not just listening, are you responding and then nurturing those signals so that they come, they're going to always continue, but so that you have that dialogue. That's part and parcel of developing that relationship with your body. So you can then trust the downloads that you're getting and trust your
Yes.
intuition. If you don't trust your body and are constantly arguing with it or ignoring it or numbing it or dumbing it down, you're not going to trust your gut. You're not going
Hmm.
to trust your intuition. You're not going to trust those downloads. And so, yeah, you said it. Like it's a very very powerful understanding and awareness to come into because it changes your literal everyday living, waking moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it brings a person, like you said, that's that mindfulness, that awareness. Like now, all of a sudden, you are experiencing life fully because you're paying attention to everything you're doing. Nothing is for granted. Everything has a purpose, like even how you're driving, your body position. Yes, yes. I love that. I absolutely love it. And you talked about transmuting that experience, the whole human experience that you're having can
Yeah.
be elevated by
100%.
paying attention to your body. I
It
love
is.
it.
It's the mindfulness. It's just the mindfulness. It's the intention that transmutes it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, and without even knowing it, a person's being mindful. It's like if they thought, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. It's like, well, you're already doing it, now just by
Exactly.
paying attention to your body. It's brilliant. I love
Exactly.
that.
Oh, thank you.
So did you grow into that? Or like you said, I know you heard a voice that said, okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing, but did you just kind of grow and evolve into, I'm going to be a body alchemist? Like, I'm going to teach people how to connect body and spirit, or was this something that you know you either
Yeah.
grew into or just came to you?
Uh, it's a mixture of both.
Okay.
Most of this I channel. This is not
Okay.
me. Most of this I channel. I swear to God, I'm not that. I don't have the background in it. I mean, I have a lot of experience because of my bodybuilding put me in touch with my body, and like I said, I
Mhm.
became a certified trainer. I studied all these things, but it's not my profession. I was in human resources for, like I said, over 20 years and a mom. And um, most of this is a divine channel. I don't know from who. I can't say, where other than source. But it's come to me steadily since then, and I'm clear that this is what I'm here to share. These are the codes that were given to me to share. We're all here for a purpose. This is mine. I
Love it.
can't intellectualize it for you. It's when I'm speaking from heart chakra. Like right now, every time I do, it's dropping out of my head into my heart and it comes out.
Perfect. You know what? And I believe you. I do. I do. And you don't have to explain, because I get it. There's lots of experiences, downloads, and channel messages that I've received that if I try to explain it, it just doesn't sound right. So yeah, absolutely. I get that because, and I believe you because like I said, I haven't heard anybody doing this, and the way that you're articulating it and connecting it, it's like, okay, there's something divine about this.
Thank
So I
you.
love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about manifestation. I know that that's something that you are also, adept in. So talk to us about that and your experience
Well,
with that.
it ties back to health naturally. Like I said, when I was starting to bodybuild, I noticed my career going like this.
Mhm.
Um, there's different, we all, how do I want to say this? There's a different energy that happens when you're healthy. Healthy is its own frequency. It radiates its own frequency that attracts like energy. That's the most succinct way I can put it. And I noticed this, I observed it firsthand. And at first I thought, oh, this is cool, but the other shoe's gonna fall, something bad is gonna happen. And it never did. And so, as I look back on my, now 20-year career, about 12 of that again being in this health and wellness and self-care industry, I see a direct correlation. It's not a fluke after 12 years. The trajectory is really clear, where I can say now I'm living the life of my dreams, and I always knew it was possible. I always knew that having it all was possible. People always say, "Oh, you can't have it all," or "You can only have it all." Different things at different times. And I just never accepted that. I always
Right.
rejected that motto, and I didn't understand why. I didn't have anything clear to point to, but now I know it's your health. You can have it all, but it starts with you being healthy because of the frequency that it puts you in, the
Mhm.
energy that it puts you in. When you are literally radiating, and whether you, and I know this podcast is all about the spiritual stuff, so I'm talking to an audience here who's going to get it. But even if you're stuck in the 3D scientific understanding of it, our body literally is an antenna. It is radiating a frequency constantly, and it's just a matter of what is that frequency. And when you're in good health and you're rested and you're hydrated and you know who you are, that's a different frequency, and it does end up with you manifesting, um again, like energies, the best that life has to offer. And that can look different ways because it's not always like the perfect outcome that arrives, but the circumstances arrive for you to navigate in a healthy way that will land you at the perfect outcome, if that makes sense. So it's,
Yeah.
well, I say that to say it's not like I've had this perfect life where everything's always gone amazing. I've struggled with functional alcoholism, depression, anxiety, abusive and toxic relationships and work environments. I've had all of the things. I haven't had an environment that always reflected my energy, but what that environment has done has given me an opportunity to navigate it in a healthy way so that I can wind up there. And I think that has been the gift to me because of who I get the opportunity to be in those moments. That's the manifestation. It's like, this is who I am and this is who I get to be. And it's not a, I don't want to only in these perfect circumstances say I'm this goddess, self-care alchemist, high priestess. I'm that person even when the world is falling down around me, and I'm going to navigate it in these ways. And people can look at it and say, oh, you're not manifesting much, but I am.
Mhm.
But I am. It's how I choose to navigate those moments, just knowing who I am. So anyways, all of that is to say, yeah, manifestation, I believe, comes, well, you can absolutely manifest the life of your dreams and be in horrible health, but I don't know how you can be in horrible health and be living the life of your dreams. But so I don't want to make anyone feel bad who's not there, but I will say that for me and what I preach and what I teach, that manifestation absolutely starts with the care of your body. You start there. You can manifest your own good health.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's true, and I agree with that. It goes back to the frequency aspect, like you said. Manifestation is largely about the frequency.
Yeah.
And when you talked about navigating the dark times to be able to manifest what it is that you have now and where you now, that's just shadow work.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to accept the light and the dark.
Yeah.
And if we're asking for something, if we're trying to manifest something, we've got these big goals, then you probably have some big blockages that you're going to have to go through the dark side to get to the light, and all of it, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in between. And so, yeah, I love how you talked about that. And yeah, I think that the body is definitely going to resonate a certain frequency, if it's in good health,
It
because then
is.
you're going to be thinking about what you eat, like teas, all kinds of things, your
Yeah.
rest that you're receiving, how much water
Mhm.
intake you're getting.
Yeah.
It's all interconnected.
It's all the basic stuff, right? What we do know for certain, I have not seen any evidence, like through a scientific model, that health is its own frequency. But what we do know is sicknesses. We do know illnesses. We do know that things like dogs and other scientific instruments can measure cancer and HIV. Like, it is its own energy field. It is its own frequency. And so even though that industry isn't going to teach us this because they make no money off of teaching us that being healthy is a thing, I'm clear. I'm clear that being in good health radiates. And I'm sure, with your understanding of this, you're the kind of woman that people meet. They're like, oh, your energy feels good, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure women and people welcome you because you have a radiance and it's what you emit. And health is a similar frequency that
Yeah,
people
I
can.
agree. And that's why the term health is wealth, it is, because without the physical temple to keep you here for as long as you can be here, what you can enjoy things properly.
You can.
Um, Yeah, and that's just the fact of it. That's the hard facts that a lot of people probably don't want to face for whatever reason, because maybe they, don't want to be disciplined enough or whatever. But you've got some ways of actually tapping into that. I don't want anybody to get intimidated and be like, "Wait a minute, she was a what was it, bodybuilder?" I don't want to get it wrong. Bodybuilder. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, I need to go to the gym. But you talked about self-care alchemy starting with where you are,
Yeah.
to be able to grow into wherever it is that you're trying to manifest to be. So I love that. So let's talk about the food, the
Yeah.
self-care, body, food,
Yeah.
it's all intertwined. Tell me about that. How, what for you?
Well, that was one of the first things. Well, so it was first the lifting. It was coming into my body by bodybuilding. And, as a bodybuilder, you look at your body every day, literally, like looking for definition and things. And so that really brought me into my body. But the next piece of that was the nutrition, was the diet. And believe it or not, bodybuilders aren't always the healthiest people. And I quickly understood that while I might be shaping up, I wasn't necessarily as healthy as I wanted to be, because you don't eat a lot of vegetables when you're a
Mhm.
bodybuilder. Um, and so when I would have my off seasons, that was something that I was like actually craving. It's like I look good, but I don't feel as good as I probably should. And I got really interested, and I was craving vegetables. And so that experience, and so when I was eating the vegetables, though, that was when I really did begin to feel better. And I was again drawing correlations and understanding the difference between looking good and fit versus feeling good and being healthy. There's a difference between health and fitness, and that helped me understand that. But it was the vegetables that really began to make me feel good. And as I looked into it, the alchemy of food is a real thing. The energy transfer of food actually is where I first landed before discovering that was alchemy. But the energy transfer of food. Um, I'm a gardener. Have had a vegetable garden for like 10 years, I think. I don't have one this year, but I had one. I've had one for the past 10 years. You can go on my Instagram and my social media and see my garden over the years and how it's grown and evolved. I mean, I grew everything, but that experience helped me really understand the power of fresh food. And so what I learned as I just, being curious about being a gardener, was the different energy of foods, the foods that grow above ground versus foods that grow below ground. And when you consume that, we eat that energy. And so, I made it a practice to make sure well, let me back up here. So for me, I think I mentioned I struggled with depression for a while.
Mhm.
And that was something that ran in my family. It was something that I really just kind of accepted about myself. I didn't really combat it too much. It was a label that I adopted and was just living with and comfortable with. But when I learned about the energy transfer of food, I was like, well, maybe I should be eating foods that grow above the ground because those are uplifting energies. That's what I learned through gardening.
Mhm.
And I did. I did. I started drinking green drinks as my medicine to combat my depression. Again, I was a bodybuilder at the time. I was prescribed meds. I did not want to take them because I didn't know what it was going to do for me physically. I still wanted to compete.
Right.
I didn't want medication to throw off my body in any way. And so the way I got my way out of that was green drinks. I would drink a green juice in the morning, usually like celery and spinach or something like that, and then a green smoothie in the afternoon, literally transferring positive, uplifting source energy into my body. Plants absorb 100% sun energy. That's what
Mhm.
photosynthesis is. Then when we eat those plants, we eat about 10%. We absorb about 10% of that. And so I was like, well, that makes sense to me. I don't know why it makes sense to me, but that makes sense to me. And that's what I did for years and years and years. Again, if you were to go to my social media, you'll see my green smoothies, from all over the place. But I was literally um, using what nature gave us to heal myself, and I'm happy to say that I'm in so much of a better place today than I was back then. But it was the food that brought me out of that. And every time now, even though I'm not in that space anymore, but what I practice now and what I teach other women to practice now is when you go to eat something, we're not hyper focused on calories, carbs, fats, proteins, that we're looking at what is that energy of the food. And I think we forget that calories simply means unit of energy. That's what a calorie is. It's a unit of energy. So the question is, what kind of energy are you consuming?
Mhm.
If you're gonna be obsessed about calories, be obsessed about that.
Yeah.
What kind of energy are you consuming? And so I'm at a buffet, I'm at a function, I'm at a party. As I'm scanning what I'm eating, I'm out to dinner with my husband, I'm looking at a menu. As I'm scanning what I'm gonna eat, I'm really considering not whether or not that's gonna make me fat. I'm considering what kind of energy I'm transferring to my body because it will become the fabric of my being in like 3 weeks to 3 months, right? It's gonna literally become me. When they say
Yeah.
you are what you eat, that's not just a quippy saying. It's fact. And so I that's what's running through my head when I'm making those decisions. And it's removed so much stress and pressure and negativity and that adversarial or shameful relationship sometimes
Mhm.
people develop with food by understanding it for what it is. It's energy.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way you have just broken down the science of what the body, as well as what it takes for the body to exist in this 3D realm, like you said. And in doing so, how that opens you up to higher dimensional and levels of consciousness. And by tying everything to energy, I love this because most people would probably listen to this and be like, okay, this isn't the woo woo kind. We're not talking about, spiritual tricks, but
This is not
you
woo woo.
are. You are. That's the thing. And that's the cool thing about it is that you are talking about how to be in a constant state of being able to receive
Mm,
the energies from the universe, from the sun, from the nature, how to have a full experience as a human using your body. And I love that. Like, I absolutely love it. I'm just sitting here listening because I'm like, wow, like, why didn't I think of that? Like, I know this. Like, I know this. That's the thing. I know it, but haven't been like consistently as in tuned. I've been more over here kind of looking on the spiritual side, the meditation side, the energy, and you're talking about the same thing with the body. And I love that. And I think that's why your journey started as it did. You were the bodybuilder, so you were really in tune with bodies, calories, what you eat, what you don't eat, when to eat, all of those different things. And so that was the way that you were able to understand in it. And you have this gift now of being able to help other people to understand how magnificent their body is.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Thank
love it, love it, love it.
thank you. I like to remind people that usually what I say when I speak, it reaches people because it's something that you're simply remembering. You're not
Mhm.
learning this. You know this. You do. I'm
Mm.
just a voice here. I'm the perfectly divine timed reminder. And it touches us in a spot in our, I always point to my heart because it's always for me chakra led. Um, but it touches us in a place that's like, I do know that. That makes sense to me. And it's because it's our soul, it's our
Mhm.
spirit remembering. It knows this. It knows this. It's just we get miseducated, we get
Mhm.
distracted and detoured. And actually, if you live in America today, we're being poisoned,
Yes.
in order to forget. But it's just a matter of remembering. This is not hard. I don't teach anything hard. I don't teach anything, that's going to blow your mind. It's literally an awakening. It's a remembering. And it feels good.
Yeah, it does. And I'm like, what the heck? That's what I'm kind of like, I know a lot. I always talk about like 20 years of experience. And then, of course, when I started my journey as a massage therapist, so there was a lot of the body talk too, but I jumped right into the energy side of it. But yeah, I'm like, duh, like where the heck? And like you said, that's just a veil that's been lifted on this episode for me. And I'm like, I kind of was doing it, but now I'm like, now I got to be mindful to make sure I'm doing it. Like, and that's for me because I just want to be able to receive as much as I can, from the
Exactly.
universe, from nature. I do want to have that full experience, especially like you talked about coming from depression. I came from depression too. I have a lot of joy today and I love my life today. And I say that all the time. I want to experience this to the fullest,
Yeah.
the happiness and the joy of life. So yeah, I want to do the same thing with my body. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
You're
And
so
then I love how
welcome.
you broke down the manifestation and the health. And I mean, each point has been like just solid. So
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about your business. Tell me a lot about your business and how you're helping people
Sure.
with this.
Sure. So, um, I've seen women struggle a lot through owning a gym, being a trainer, bodybuilding, all of that, with their health, with their weight, with their self-confidence. I've seen a lot of struggling. And I've always wanted to help, and I always have in different capacities. But my company in 2021 was purchased, and they didn't need another vice president of HR. They already had one. That's what I was. And so I was let go. And it never occurred to me to go get a job. Never entered my mind. I was like, and this was in 2021. So this was COVID time. This was when the world was sick. This is when the world was getting a lot of misinformation about,
Yes.
COVID, the vaccine, how to be healthy. But people also wanted it. I don't know if you remember during that time, there's people sharing videos of them walking for the first time outside of their
Yeah.
neighborhood because it was the only safe and healthy thing to do. And so it was this weird combination of misinformation and toxicity, honestly, that was being fed to us, but then our innate natural desire to want to care for ourselves.
Mhm.
And so this is when I founded my business. This is when I founded Ori Ara. It was in 2021, September of 2021. And she has seen, I refer to my business as a she has seen many iterations over the last several years. But what was clear to me was that this truth needed to make its way forward, because I've just seen too many women struggle. And with with what's been shared with me to share with others, I feel like it makes it effortless. Like, as you were just talking about, I know this. Why can't I? Why haven't I doing this? That kind of understanding and awakening leads to an effortless journey from here on out.
Does.
And so I was like, I have to share this. And so I decided, or I recognized that what I'd been doing over the last 12 years was sharing my self-care journey, my self-care as I was a single mom for many years. So my self-care as a single mother, my self-care as an executive, my self-care as a Black woman, because my hair was it's 100%. I would not be here if I had not gone natural a gazillion years ago. We could talk about
Yeah.
that too. But my self-care journey as a Black woman, my self-care journey now as a married woman, I realized I've been sharing my self-care journey all this time. And so Ori Ara is a self-care company, and it takes traditional wellness and we are reinventing it and sharing it with modern women. Because everything that you and I have discussed today, we didn't invent any of this stuff.
Exactly.
Around
Yeah.
the beginning of time. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I just like reminding women of that. And that's what Ori Ara does. And so through a few different means, we've got my blog, which is called The Body Ministry.
Hey.
The goal is to help women become a disciple of themselves. Anytime you're a part of a ministry, you're studying, you're learning something. And when you do that to a certain degree, become a disciple. Well, I want women to be disciples of themselves. And so my blog walks them through 9 pillars of wellness to help them grasp all of this. So we've got the blog. I've got my book that's coming out, which is The Body Ministry book, but it's a self-care guide for women specifically on their health and fitness journey. So it takes the concepts from the blog, but condenses them down into actionable steps for 12 weeks for women who are starting their health and fitness journey. So whether you've got a trainer, maybe you're doing a 90-day boot camp, you hired a nutritionist, whatever you're doing is fantastic. Keep doing it. My book is the internal work that no one ever is teaching us about, that accompanies the physical transformation. Most of us either can't achieve or maintain our physical transformation because we have not done the internal one first. And so this book, you pair alongside your physical transformation. So the glow up is for real. It's from the inside out. So that's what the book does. I also have another blog or a newsletter that I started for women in corporate America, because they're getting just beat up left and right in corporate America. It's not okay. And so my blog is called The Holistic Hustle, which can be found on my website as well. But it's helping women who work in corporate America understand that you can be ambitious. You can go out there and do the damn thing, but we're going to do so prioritizing our health and well-being. We're not going to be martyrs anymore for whoever, right? For Jim Bob, whoever the owner of the corporation. We're not being martyrs for that anymore. So I've got that. And then I teach courses. I've got to do a workshop once a month. The one coming up, well, I don't know when this is going to be aired. I think it's going to be aired slightly after my current round, but teach workshops. So the Alchemy of Self-Care is a workshop. Self-care isn't just for Sundays is a workshop. I do a self-care experience where it's the Alchemy of Self-Care Sanctuary, where women for 6 weeks can come together and practice in a safe, nurturing environment, taking care of yourself, prioritizing yourself for the first time in God knows how long. And it's a powerful experience. For 6 weeks. And so these are some of the things, yeah, that I offer through Ori Ara.
I love it. I love everything about it. I was checking it out. I was trying to share it, but it wasn't gonna to save that for another one. I'm still learning this platform. I love the name too. Tell me how the name came about, Ori
Oh my
Ara.
goodness. I love Ori Ara as well. Thank you. So let me see here. Many years ago, prior to the pandemic, a girlfriend and I, who she has an African shop, I was like, and I was a bodybuilder in, fitness, and I was like, I don't see enough African themed athletic wear. We should do something. So we actually were going to go into business together to create that. And as we were looking at names, Oriara was the name that came up. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. The business didn't end up working out. So, that's why you don't see Oriara athletic wear, but Oriara in this other capacity remained. And I fell in love with the name because what I understood was that, the name is Yoruba. It's from the Yoruba tradition. And my girlfriend is Nigerian. So that's where that came from. But Ori is your purpose and Ara is your body. And so Ori Ara is the clear understanding that your body is part of our purpose. You cannot get to your purpose without your body. And so as I was in 2021 thinking about, how to encapsulate this idea and this calling that I had, Ori Ara was the clear name.
It is. I love it. It's perfect. It would have worked either way, either as the fitness clothing
Yeah.
or for what you're doing now. And I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love names with purpose and meaning, and this fits perfectly what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Cassandra. It has been totally eye-opening and enlightening for me. I know my audience is going to be like, "What the heck? How come I did? How come I knew that, but I didn't know that?" You know, and it's like what you described. So, I always say these episodes that I have with the guests are by no accident. I get so much out of it. It
Mm,
just reignites something inside of me in a certain place that is like, yeah, it's time to just like take this thing all the way, all aspects, and be living completely, mind, body, spirit integrated. And that's what you talked about today. So thank you so much, Cassandra. It was a journey, honor to have you on here and hear your journey. And tell us how we can find you.
yeah, please come find me on oriara.com, ORIARA.com. It's really important that we find community because, like you said, these are things that we know, these are things that we remember, but it really helps to have like minded individuals around. It helps to feel like you're not the only one. I really try to normalize all of this just through my example and the community that I'm building. And so come join us. Come join us. Come find us on oriara.com.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, guys, I will have this all down in the description as well as any updates as to what's going to be going on with Ori Ara, with Cassandra. That'll all be in the description. And be sure to follow her and check her out on her website as well. And that is it for this episode. Thanks again, Cassandra. It has truly been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I love this.
Take me to the ocean beach.